The sun hung bright and golden above Santa Monica Pier, throwing shimmering ribbons of light across the water. But despite the cheerful scene of tourists, vendors, and children laughing, near the carousel, a sudden shadow fell over the wooden planks. A shadow made of cruelty, of arrogance, of the kind of heartlessness that can silence even the ocean for a moment. A girl with trembling hands and a brace wrapped around her left leg tried to move forward on her crutch. Her smile, small but determined, yet before she could take another step, a rough shove sent her stumbling. The taunt, sharp, vicious, and meant to destroy, echoed in the salty air like a crack of thunder. Move, Cripple. And then another kick. And then the sound of her crutch clattering hard against the pier, drawing the eyes of strangers, but no one daring to intervene until the roar of motorcycle engines pierced the moment like destiny waking up. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and people standing up for what's right, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Spark. Your support helps stories like these reach more hearts. Aurelia Finn, the girl on the ground, had always been good at hiding pain. She had learned to since childhood, after a car accident at age 9 left her with severe nerve damage in her left leg. Walking became a daily negotiation with discomfort. Kids in school had whispered things, thrown stares like daggers, but Aurelia always brushed them off. She had a quiet resilience that made her family proud, especially her mother, who encouraged her to see beauty in small victories. But today, on the Santa Monica Pier, she wasn't prepared for the cruelty waiting around the corner in the form of 3 teenagers who thought they owned the world. She had simply come to enjoy the sound of the waves and treat herself to a small afternoon by the sea after her physical therapy session. The day was supposed to be peaceful, freeing, a break from the limits her body constantly reminded her of. Yet as soon as she stepped onto the bustling pier, she found herself the target of mockery from boys who had nothing better to do than prey on someone they believed couldn't fight back. The cruelty started small, an unnecessary shoulder bump, a smirk, a glance down at her brace. Aurelia tried to keep moving, hoping they would drift away. They didn't. Instead, they whispered loud enough for her to hear. Look at her. She shouldn't be out here. Why is she walking like that? And then, just as she reached the railing to enjoy the view, they blocked her path. Before she could speak, the harsh demand came. Move, Cripple, and the shove followed. She fell onto her elbow, sharp pain shooting up her arm, the world spinning. For a moment as tourists stared, unsure whether to get involved, her crutch skidded several feet away, and one of the boys kicked it farther, laughing. Humiliation flooded her chest so fast she felt she couldn't breathe, her eyes burning with a hurt she tried to swallow, because crying here, in front of them, would only feed them. But something else rose too, the unmistakable sound of motorcycles approaching, dozens of them. The boys turned at the same time as everyone else when a long row of chrome glinted in the sunlight. A group of bikers, big, leather-clad, steel-nerved riders rolled in like a tide of thunder. At the front of them was a man with long, silver-streaked black hair and a jaw carved by time and grit. His name was Ronan Slate, president of a well-known biker charity group called Steel Guardians. Every Sunday afternoon, they rode up and down the coast raising donations for disabled veterans and children with mobility challenges. None of them anticipated becoming part of a scene like this, but fate knows how to arrange moments in ways that feel too perfectly timed to be coincidence. Ronan was the first to notice Aurelia on the ground, her crutch out of reach, her face pale except for the streak of red where her elbow had scraped the wood. The bullies backed away slightly, uncertainty flashing in their eyes as the sea of bikers slowly surrounded the area, not threatening, not violent, simply present, strong, immovable. The tourists who had been too afraid to step in began to watch with hope instead of fear, sensing a shift in the atmosphere. Ronan dismounted his bike, his boots landing heavy on the wood. He walked toward Aurelia with calm, steady steps, the kind that carried the weight of leadership and experience. His fellow riders stayed behind him but formed a protective semicircle, ensuring the boys had no path to escape easily. Aurelia trembled, not from fear of the bikers, but from the shock of everything that had just happened. She wanted to sit up, to regain dignity, but her elbow hurt, and her leg throbbed fiercely. Ronan crouched beside her and gently offered his hand. She hesitated only a second before taking it, grateful for the kindness in his eyes that had clearly seen suffering before and recognized it instantly. He helped her up with care, checking if she was steady before letting go. She murmured something about being fine, about not wanting to cause trouble, about wishing the moment would simply fade. But Ronan shook his head with the soft firmness of someone who believed every person deserved respect no matter what. The bullies attempted a weak excuse, something about just messing around, but Ronan's expression didn't change. It wasn't anger that showed, it was disappointment, the kind that made even grown adults feel small. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. Instead, he simply stepped aside so Aurelia could retrieve her crutch. And when she tried to bend down to pick it up, one of the female riders, a tall woman with braids dyed ember red, picked it up for her and handed it gently into her hands. Aurelia whispered a thank you, her voice carrying equal parts embarrassment and gratitude. For the first time since the fall, she felt the shaking in her chest begin to ease. As the moment unfolded, the crowd began to shift from silent observers to allies. A mother reached for her child's hand, pulling them closer as if to teach by example. A vendor near the cotton candy cart quietly slid over a small bottle of water for Aurelia. A teenage girl nearby looked at the bullies with disgust, clearly rethinking what she found admirable in people. The pier, once loud with the sounds of amusement and waves, felt strangely sacred, like everyone was witnessing something important, something that might change how they themselves behaved in the future. Ronan asked Aurelia if she wanted their group to escort her back to the parking area or to wherever she felt safest. She shook her head, saying she had meant to stay a little longer on the pier, that she didn't want the bullies to ruin her afternoon.